Hi, and welcome to Becoming Unstoppable Fitness and Weight Loss. We're your hosts, Lynn and Stephanie. We're just two ordinary girls born without skinny jeans, and we refused to give up on our goal of becoming fit and fierce. Now we're trainers who get to share our passion for strength and health with others.
We started this podcast so we could share the knowledge and insights that have empowered many clients with an even larger audience, and our dream is to help you become unstoppable.
Today in episode 7, we're going to be talking about developing a solution-oriented mindset. And mindset is one of my specialties. I work on nutrition and mindset. Stephanie is a fitness coach, but we did have the opportunity to work together. Stephanie actually went through my program a year ago and she lost 10 pounds and she's been able to keep it off. And she learned some really cool things about herself and ways that she could actually make her mind her ally instead of her enemy. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. Stephanie is a fitness trainer. So if you haven't caught one of our episodes on fitness yet, our next episode is going to be talking about cardio, and that's her specialty. So she's going to share her expertise in that area with us in episode 8. But today, we're just going to be talking about this solution-oriented mindset. And I'm going to start out by just asking Stephanie what becoming solution-oriented has done for you. How has it changed your life? And so we should kind of reiterate or explain the difference between solution-oriented and problem-oriented. Can you kind of give an idea?
Yeah, so problem-oriented, that, at least for me, was when I was living in the midst of my problems and not really actively finding a solution for them, more just having that pity party day to day and thinking, poor me, this is hard, I can't fix this, so I just have to deal with it. And versus like a solution mindset, okay, what's my problem? How can I address it? How can I change things and come out on the other side? So now I feel like that's affected me, like in that I feel like a happier person, and I feel, I would say almost like I feel kind of fearless when it comes to problems. Like I don't enjoy them anymore, but I don't let them affect me in such a negative way. Like I'm not gonna have a meltdown easily, and I'm not gonna, like, just if something comes at me, I'm like, I can handle this. I've done hard things. I've found solutions to them. And if this is harder than other things, I will figure it out, you know.
For sure.
I don't have to dwell in it. I don't have to linger on it and let it affect my whole life and my day to day. So I feel like this empowerment and strength.
Awesome. Sorry to cut you off. I was just going to ask you to explain or share some of your past focused minded thoughts with the people at home, so they can kind of decide, oh, maybe this is me. A lot of us can identify with being problem focused. And in fact, I still find myself sometimes, you know, I have to remind myself, oh yeah, you're dwelling on the problem. Let's move over here to the solution, or let's clearly identify the problem instead of like creating all of this drama.
Yeah, well, I know there was a point for a while, I think about this from time to time when discussing with friends, that like I felt like with what I do and in my job, like if I wasn't doing that, I would have no other talents, and like I wasn't good at anything else. And like if I lost what I'm doing now, I would have no other options. And I felt this like negative self-talk, like I'm not capable of having the life I want. I don't have control of my life. I wouldn't have any other options if my life fell apart, or I lost my job, or, you know, the world changed. Like I just lived in this state of like, I'm not in control of my life. Or, you know, when it comes to like, I moved here alone for a while, I was thinking like, I'm never going to have friends. Like, I don't have anyone. My life's going to be boring. But I found a way to fix those things, fortunately. But I did live in that like mindset, like I'm stuck here. I can't get out from my situation. But I figured out that I can, and I do have the power. But I definitely have had those times where I was stuck in this negative self-talk and thinking that I wasn't capable. I can't do this. I can't do that. And because of my situation, and it's hard to make friends when you're adult. No, no one wants to hang out, or no one wants to talk to me. No one wants to hear anything like that, or no one would hire me to do A, B, or C.
And negative self-talk, we were talking about it before we started recording, is really just it's a way of keeping you stuck in your inaction, right? So all of these things that pass through your mind, like you don't have other skills, you don't have, other people don't want to be my friend, whatever the negative thoughts are, they would keep you from having to go out and make friends, right? Or having to go out and develop skill, or actually it was probably finding a solution in your business during COVID. I think that's when those thoughts came up for you, right? Instead of like, so during COVID, a lot of people faced this situation where, their businesses had to close for a period of time or had to be modified. And so Stephanie's mind went right to panic, like, oh my God, it's going to shut down. I have no other skills, instead of like, whoa, slow down. Let's identify the problem. Let's identify the solutions. Let's not have your mind go all the way to getting another job right now. You have to solve the immediate problem, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was a tough time. And I'm glad I had Lynn's program, because I kept that mindset for a long time. Even after we reopened, you just never know what the future holds. So I had that like constant fear in my head, like, what would I do if like gyms aren't a thing anymore and the world changes and gyms don't exist anymore.
But the point was your gym still did exist, and you were in charge of like keeping it going, right?
Yes. So that's not the best way to run something, when you have a constant fear in your head, and then
you're just taking it all the way to worst case instead of focusing on like, hey, what do I have to do right now?
Yeah. So that's huge, especially like running a business, and when you're a leader, to be operating based on like something that's not even happening, like that's not gonna be good for your business. So I'm glad I got past that with Lynn's program being so mindset based.
And honestly, it is just a skill. Huge. Like there was absolutely nothing wrong with you, that your brain was going there. And I want the folks at home to know this too. Like this is our natural human tendency to go into panic, and so it's a skill to be able to learn to bring yourself back, to just really be able to focus on the facts and the solutions. So there was absolutely nothing wrong with you. It was just that you hadn't acquired that skill yet.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's a good skill to have though now.
Yeah, absolutely. Really happy for you, because it's come into use in so many different areas, right? You've mentioned dating, relationships, friendships, conquering all kinds of obstacles, and just really creating a life that you love. So good for you. So let's talk about this willingness to exert effort. So one of the things that we talk about in my program is our human tendency. It's actually part of the motivational triad. Humans are wired to want to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and reduce effort. So our natural tendency is to take the easy way, the easiest way possible, avoid effort. And so it really takes a lot of training to be willing to exert effort. Can you give us some ideas? We talked a little bit about that in just the last few minutes, but can you give us some other ideas of where you've had to really retrain your brain to exert effort?
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely with that specific example of the work thing, I really had to like step back and step away from the emotional part of it and focus on the facts. Like, okay, what are the actual circumstances, and what are my actual experiences? and what could I really do? Like,
what did you have to do?
You know, I had to step away from the drama, like she mentioned, and the emotional sides of things, and then break it down.
But like, did you offer online classes? Did you market in different ways?
So yeah, when we were actually shut down, we had the online option. We still have online options, even, you know, a couple of years out almost here. And
so you had to get creative.
That is just trying to find, like, work-wise, finding a solution around that. And then for a while we ran classes differently, so there would be extra like sanitization time and everything, and then we eventually got back to normal. But you know, we just have different, like, we always have sanitizer out, whatever is going to make people feel comfortable to work out in the studio, and so we just kind of addressed the issues that we could address to have success going forward. And now, you know, things are pretty much back to normal. And had I just initially focused on that and not panicked and gotten this negative mindset, like, that would have saved me so much stress. Or another example is moving here, three and a half years ago, I think. I knew one person that lived like 30 minutes from me, and that was it. And I think most people will say this, it's very hard to make friends as an adult. Outside of, you know, once you graduate college, you don't have school to rely on or anything. And so I felt like very alone. I'm a very like active person and social person, and I like to be with people. And, you know, for so long I was like, I guess this is just my life. And, but then once I like finally made a actual effort to fix the problem, step out of my comfort zone. Okay, I'm going to reach out to these girls and then invite them to go to an aerial yoga class with me. And even if that sounds horrible to them, maybe they all say no, but at least I'm going to try. And then I would do stuff like that over and over. That was one of like the first things. And be like, oh, would you guys want to go try this with me or that with me? And then eventually you start making those connections, and people do say yes, and people do want to spend time with you. And then I built all these great friendships, even though it was uncomfortable to step out and have the fear of rejection and no one wanting to hang out with you. But being able to just overcome that and get out of my comfort zone and take that leap. Now I have like an amazing circle of friends, and I'm like the happiest I've been in my life with my people, my little squad.
Good for you. Good for you. And it would have been so easy for her to say, you know, as she started out saying, oh, I'm too old to make friends, or the people in Dallas just aren't friendly, it's not my cup of tea. Like, she could make a million excuses, right? There's always an excuse waiting for us. Yes. But when you're unwilling to make excuses, that's when you actually have to take action. So good for you. Good for you. So becoming aware of your environment, I think that goes, you know, back to like, what is my solution going to be? And so I think that takes a lot of creativity. And maybe you can give us an idea, like, you can't just, well, you could have, you know, been a bull in a china shop, right? And kind of just gone after your solution recklessly. But I think the best solutions are when you're actually aware of what's going on around you. Do you have an example of that?
Well, I will say, when you're like, okay, if I'm going back to an example I just had, like, what would be an appropriate way for me to really reach out and make friends? Find something with my friends that are active, that's an active thing. You know, that was an appropriate solution, other than just like, oh, let's go out to a bar when like half my friends don't even drink. Like, you know, like, what kind of friends do I want? So what's my environment of people? Who do I want to surround myself with? And it's people that like to do active things and like fitness. So like I have to go down a certain avenue if I want to connect with those type of people that kind of have a similar lifestyle mindset. That's a very simple example, and then when it comes to like business, that's especially important because, you know, you're responsible for a business and how everything runs. And it has to be professional. You can't just throw stuff out there. I mean, you can, but that could ruin your business.
So it's not just any effort, it's calculated effort, right?
Yeah.
Intentional, calculated, shrewd.
Yeah.
And I don't mean shrewd in a cunning way. I mean like smart, wise.
Right. So, I mean, even, you know, there's a million fitness studios all over the world, but so I have to think about, okay, what do my members want? What do they like? What's the feedback I'm getting? And what is going to work for them, rather than just throwing out what I think the world wants or what I want. So
that's a good point.
You kind of have to be aware of, or I know I had to be aware of, who are my people here and what are they coming here for? What do they want out of this? And at my studio specifically, like it wasn't working for us to do the like extra 30 seconds between stations to sanitize because people were losing out on part of their workout. So the majority of the members did not like that at all. I didn't either, but I waited till I found out you know, that they were just disappointed they weren't getting the workout that they used to get. So then we changed from there. And, you know, and it's been something difficult to navigate through, but you get to know what the people around you want and need and communicate with them, find out what the circumstances are for them and how they're feeling. And you go from there.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just throw whatever you want and say that's how it's going to be.
So always being willing to adapt. That's part of being solution focused. Yeah. And adapt according to goals, right? You don't want to just adapt aimlessly. You always want to adapt in a way that gets you where you want to go.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Good for you. So ultimately, we were talking about it earlier. Being solution focused really depends on your belief that it's your responsibility to reduce your own suffering. So this is quite an area of contention, I think, right now in our culture. And Stephanie and I are both really, really passionate about helping people create safety and security for themselves, because ultimately that's where your power is, right? When you can create safety and well-being for yourself and not rely on things around you, that's where your ultimate power is. Not that you never want to rely on anybody else, but ultimately you want to make sure that you're creating like a firm foundation for yourself. And so can you give me an example of that, where your belief is now, oh, I'm in charge of my own safety and security, versus I'm going to put it in somebody else's hands?
Yeah. So with that, I think that is a big thing in our society. Like, we don't want to take responsibility for what's happening in our lives, but I'm a very big believer you can't help someone who does not want to help themselves. And that applies to our own selves. Like, I know I'm not going to have a solution if I'm not trying to fix it. I could complain about it to people as much as I want, but that's not going to solve anything. But I will say, like, for example, with dating, I used to get very discouraged with it, but then I had to like switch my mindset and realize, like, I'm in charge of my life. I'm in charge of my happiness. I'm not going to let not having what I want bring that down. And now, when it comes to dating, I go in with the mindset, like, is this going to make my life better or worse? And do I want someone in my life, I figured out I want someone in my life that is going to either make my life the same or better rather than worse. And
you have a pretty great life. Your standard's pretty high.
I feel like I've built a really great life for myself, and I'm the happiest I've been in a long time. And then so now, I, instead of being like, oh, poor me, this didn't work out, that didn't work out, I really liked this guy, but I just wasn't feeling the chemistry, and it would have been so great on paper. I learned, to have more confidence in my life and who I am, and be happy that way. And when things don't work out or I get rejected, I'm like, okay, that's too bad, and I move on. And I can live a much happier life that way by taking responsibility for my own life instead of making it this guy or that guy's responsibility to make me happy. Because at the end of the day, no one is going to be responsible for my happiness.
Yeah.
Even if it was someone I was crazy about and was great, at the end of the day, I would be the one choosing my own happiness. So maybe they came in, made my life better, and keep doing the same things, but I could still revert back to making poor health choices or I would never stop working out, but like say I stopped working out and then became depressed. Like that would all be on me. And I know that 100%, like after just living life, I feel like it comes with being an adult and gaining maturity, that like you have to realize that no one's going to come in and like fill your void of happiness. And I used to think, especially in my 20s, that like having a guy would fix that for me and make me happy. Mm-hmm. But then I realized it was usually the opposite. And now I'm at like a really great point in life where I'm happy. And I'm like, this is because of me. I didn't need anyone else to get to this point. I didn't need a significant other to get to this point. I'm happy on my own, and no one's gonna come in and like change that for me. I've built this because I chose it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. There was something I did want to mention how, we don't want to create unrealistic expectations for the people at home, because I know the last time, and this goes for me too, but like the last time you went through a breakup, you did go through a period of like, poor me, which I do too. Like we all go through that little bit of like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like I thought this was going to be the one or whatever. But then I think you quickly got yourself out of it. And so I just want to let the people at home know that like, it's normal to kind of go back to that place of like maybe a little bit of self-pity or self-doubt or self-loathing, whatever the pattern is. But then I think we spot it more quickly and we're like, no, this isn't going to get me where I want to go. And we're able to, take responsibility.
Oh, yes, absolutely. No, I definitely have not mastered it to where you're just like that.
Nobody does. And I don't want to create unrealistic expectations or, shame anybody for going to that place, because that's our human nature. I just want to give people hope. I think we both want to give people hope and let them know that there's a better way.
Absolutely. I will say though, once you kind of get that mindset, you're going to still have those times. But like in the past, it took me like 5 years to get over someone in the past, like ridiculous. But now I'm like, okay, I can have the little pity party and be upset or disappointed, but I can quickly get over it.
Yes, good for you. Well, that's what we have for today. And if you liked what we shared, if it provided some useful information for you, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast. You can also reach us by email. Our information is in the show notes. We'd be glad to help you with any particular situation that you are struggling with. And be sure to tune in next time for episode 8 of Becoming Unstoppable Fitness and Weight Loss.